Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Business Council's third event in our five-part ESG series in BC. Meaningful engagement, people, purpose, and community impact. I'd like to start this morning by first acknowledging that I'm coming to you from the Business Council offices in Vancouver that are located on the traditional territory of our friends, the Coast Salish people, specifically the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, and we thank them for the opportunity to do business on their traditional territory today and recognize the partnership that we have together into the future. Our first two events in the ESG and BC series explored global trends and motivations driving the growing movement towards ESG across sectors of the economy and all sizes and types of businesses. We heard directly from global and local investors, climate experts, academics, advisors, CEOs, and Indigenous leaders. These speakers described the new imperative for businesses and explored approaches for transparently reporting on their overall impact as investors are increasingly placing sustainability goals and outcomes on equal footing to a firm's financial performance when assessing its worthiness for access to capital or to credit. We explored the importance of leadership, culture, and the ability of each organization to assess what is uniquely material on their own ESG journey towards meaningful impact and market opportunity. Not just greenwashing and virtue signaling, but real impact. Today, we're going to explore some of the less tangible aspects of ESG, but perhaps one of the most important challenges when building a sustainable organization in a world of changing demographics, expectations, and values. How a firm connects with and impacts the various communities and stakeholders that they engage with, or simply put, the people they work with, how they touch them and the lives of their families and communities to improve them in that course of action. This could be your employees, could be your customers, it could be your neighboring communities in which you operate, local governments, local Indigenous organizations and nations, and the workers up and down your supply chain. As a personal side, I serve as the vice chair of the YMCA and co-chair of its capital campaign, where we're building 4 brand new YMCAs in Greater Vancouver as a center of community for families. I was at a naming of a new Y we're building in Burquitlam on Saturday morning. The center of community, named the Betty Allard YMCA, was named after a single mother who came to Vancouver with her children and a family that have gone on to make a significant contribution to our business community, but also to our province as a whole. They're able to do this through the generosity, as they shared with us, of friends and community who have in turn, through their family, been able to share that generosity back to the community through philanthropy, and particularly in this case, the Y. That 3-story facility is going to offer childcare, refugee settlement, career and youth mental health supports, and of course, recreation, among other things. And it's going to serve over 12,000 people in a growing community of young families and seniors that enable the supports that we have not seen in that community for some time. And it only happened because of the collaboration of individuals, firms, companies, and communities like the city of Coquitlam, a true collaboration that demonstrated to me on Saturday morning the essence of healthy companies and healthy communities. So each group that we touch has a different set of interests and expectations, and presents opportunities and risks to a business's ability to advance their goals, their projects, and their operations that can be powerful when they come together with common purpose. Today, we have brought together a great group of advisors, entrepreneurs, leaders, and practitioners who are going to share their perspectives on what companies need to be thinking about and considering as they seek to meaningfully engage and partner with various community groups. How can these relationships and input add to the prosperity and value of not only their firm, but their community as a whole? How can businesses contribute to meaningful economic reconciliation and the shared goals of closing the social, economic, and health gaps that Indigenous and non-Indigenous people living in British Columbia face? As we said last time we met, the goal of this series is to understand these trends, identify best practices, and purposely move your business towards the speed of the ESG journey the rest of the world is on. How do we seize opportunity, manage risk, but do that in a world as we rebound from the pandemic we face? Today's conversation will be a significant contribution to that goal and our learning and the final report that we will administer through BCBC from this series. But before we hear from Doron Grosman, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge that none of this activity and these events would be available without the incredible support and engagement of our members. The Business Council continues to be privileged to have as members and partners businesses of all sizes that lead our province and our country across the BC economy in every sector and every region. They're demonstrating true leadership and sustainability while contributing to a more prosperous province for all that live, work, and invest in BC. I'd like to thank the law firm Bennett Jones and their local managing partner, Radha Kirpan, and her team for stepping up as our lead sponsor and true partner in delivering both the content and the five-part series for all of our benefit. I'd like to thank Doron Grosman, the President and CEO of Global Container Terminals, for their support and leadership today as our presenting sponsor, a meaningful leader in our community and engaging and living and walking the talk of ESG. And I'd like to thank all of our generous sponsors that you see listed here today, who will be advancing and contributing to this ESG discussion over the coming months and the years ahead. Thanks also to Wheat and Precious Metals, and all of our events, through their support, will be carbon neutral, enabling us to purchase offsets to make the carbon footprint of our attendees, speakers, and staff time net zero for the series. So thank you all for joining us today and throughout the series and those about to come. It's now my pleasure to introduce my friend Doron Grosman, who's the President and CEO of Global Container Terminals. Global Container Terminals is a shipping industry leader with locations on the east coast of the United States and here in west coast of British Columbia, Canada's Pacific Gateway, with operations at Van Term on the Burrard Inlet and at Delta Port in Tsawwassen. GCT is committed to sustainability across its operations with specific focus on environmental, safety, and of course working together with their local communities that you'll see today. Now it's my pleasure to turn the microphone over to Doron and set the stage for today's conversation. Doron, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like to thank the Business Council of British Columbia and Greg Davignon for their leadership, along with all the other organizations and community leaders who stepped up to make this possible. My name is Doron Grosman. I am the President and CEO of GCT Global Container Terminals. And today, I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Munsee Lenape Nation, United States, a recognized tribe here in New Jersey. On behalf of GCT Canada, where we operate on the traditional territories of the Coast Salish people, I would like to acknowledge the importance of advancing reconciliation with Indigenous communities. This year, we all have an opportunity to consider reconciliation in action. On September 30th, GCT will recognize the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada. And I encourage all business leaders to consider doing the same and officially recognizing this day and its importance as a moment to reflect, to learn, and to honor survivors, their families, and communities. Reconciliation also includes responding to the business-specific call to action number 92. For GCT, number 92 means putting principles into action through our Indigenous relations policy and seeking collaborative project planning to support responsible development and shared prosperity for generations to come. The overall focus of today's event is the importance of being purposeful in how we engage across communities, the S in ESG. Now, the S or social impacts of any business are one of the most vast and important areas to take purposeful action on, reflecting company values. At GCT, we believe that managing and improving ESG impacts is fundamental to the success of our business and creating long-term value for all of our stakeholder communities. As a business, what we do is relatively simple. We move containers to and from ships, trucks, and trains in a cost-effective, secure, and sustainable manner, while always striving to provide to customers, to communities, and shareholders the value that they deserve. As a guiding part of our work, GCT has core values, and they are safety in all our operations, pride in all our work and our people and the communities in which we operate, and professionalism in how we behave. These values have propelled GCT's continued smart investments in the Vancouver Gateway, including the delivery to GCT Vanterm of 2 advanced electric ship-to-shore cranes that are now going into service. And these cranes are modernizing the terminal and helping reduce emissions by more than 50%. Over at GCT Deltaport, we've completed the intermodal yard expansion there. Now, this is the most technology-advanced ship-to-rail facility in the world. It is fully electrified and increases capacity by 50% in the same footprint while reducing noise emissions and improving safety. GCT is also proud to be Green Marine certified at all of our terminals. This is a voluntary measure of key environmental performance relevant in the North American marine industry. As we consider what the future of terminals may look like, this type of focus on sustainability and commitment to communities, employees, and partners is something we are striving for. GCT is also guided by global commitment. This is a program that initially started out as more of an environmental program, and then we expanded it to encompass 10 ESG priorities. I mentioned earlier that the S in ESG is a vast one. And for GCT, it includes commitments ranging from advancing towards truth and reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples. It includes supporting strong and thriving communities where we operate in, and in particular through initiatives that have a positive impact on children and youth and the environment and the local economic development. It also includes fostering a healthy, safe, and respectful working environment. And it also includes valuing equity, diversity, and inclusion in our relationships. We are proud to support and engage in these partnerships and are making an impact in our communities. For example, we entered into a multi-year partnership with the Reach Society for Children and Youth and one with the Tawasin Shuttle to deliver the GCT Teens program, providing consistent social and life skills development opportunities. Now, while GCT has made progress on many of these priorities, I'm not going to claim that our work is done. You know, as leaders at GCT, our commitment is always to do better. And so we're working hard at that and keep these things in our heart and in our minds as we look forward to the future. Before I turn the proceedings over to Greg, I'd like to highlight one truly unique aspect of the British Columbia business environment relative to all the parts of the world where I have worked. And I think this uniqueness, as best as I can capture it, is that in British Columbia, there is a true spirit in the business community of meaningfully engaging people with purpose that creates a lasting community impact. And so as a proud member of the Business Council of British Columbia, I want to thank you for joining us this morning, and I look forward to the rest of the programs today.